Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on how to use and configure the i2 Esri Maps connector for Analyst Notebook. In this video we will show you how to first install it, and then how to use it, and how to configure and to set up the iBase database so that you can send the items from iBase to the Esri Maps connector. So first we are here on Analyst Notebook, and we will go on Analyze. On Analyze, you have the maps. If you click here, see that you only have the Google Earth option. So what we'll do is I will show you how to install the Esri Maps connector for Analyst Notebook, as it's not installed by default. So I will close Analyst Notebook. Yes, no. And I'm going to go on Control Panel, Programs and Features. Then I'm going to go and search for i2 Analyst Notebook. So here I've got Analyst Notebook Premium, but it's if you have just Analyst Notebook, the standard version is the same. You click here, you go Change, Next, Modify. So I've got French version. Next, and here you see you have into Analyst Notebook 9, you've got Carte Esri or Esri Maps if you have it in English. So I just check that I want this function to be installed. I go Next, Install, wait a few seconds, and finished. Okay, so now I can run again Analyst Notebook. Now if I go back to Analyze, and I've got the Map Provider button, and if I click, I've got two options. One is Google Earth and one is i2 Esri Maps. So I click on i2 Esri Maps, and I've got it here. And I can, if I want to plug the window to the Analyst Notebook window, I can just put it here. So I move the mouse here on this button, and it will automatically plug it here. So I can expand. So you see that on the i2 Esri Maps connector, you have a list of base maps. So you have streets. I can go and zoom in. You have streets. You have imagery. You have imagery with labels, and so on. So the list of base maps you have might change according to your installation. The configuration file, which tells the Esri Maps connector to go and look for the ArcGIS Online server. You can find it if you open Windows browser. You go on C, then you go on Users, then you have your users, or here it's IBM Admin. Double click. You have to display the hidden folders. So to do this, I'm here on Windows 7. You go Organize, Folders and Layout and Search Options, View, and you must check that you have the tick box Don't Show Hidden Files or Drives unticked. And so it's not tick, it's a radio button. The radio button has to be on Show Hidden Files, Folders and Drives. Okay, which is the case here. So I'm on App Data. So this is Users, My Users, App Data, Local. Then you go scroll down and you got i2. Then we got i2 Analyst Notebook 9, and then we got Esri Portal. And you've got one file, Portal config. This one is the old one. It's a backup. So if I look if I open this file, so this is the URL of the public ArcGIS server, the arcgis.com sharing REST, and this item ID, it's the ID of the default base map. It might be something different. By default, I think it's this one. So I changed this one. Okay, and so here you can, if you want to hide the list of base maps because you want, for example, just to display the street, just can click on Map Gallery and it will be hidden. Okay, so now there are two different ways to have data from the chart to the map. You can manually add items on a chart. For example, I just take this one, I put it, I double click, and I add attribute. I will add an attribute which is location, and it has to be latitude. So I'll put, and I will put a longitude, location, longitude. Okay. And now if I right click, I say add to map, it automatically sends the information on the map. And you see that it's keeping the label, it's keeping the icon, because if I take, for example, this one, building, I double click to add new attributes. So still the same, location, latitude, and longitude. Okay, and right click it, that's it. So building one, and the icon is the same. Now, what happens if there is a problem with the latitude and longitude? For example, I take this one, a new house, and I will just enter just one attribute. I would say, so location, latitude, that's it. No longitude. What happens if I try to send this item to the map? I right click, I say add to map, and it doesn't show. But this is normal because it needs those two attributes, latitude and longitude. And you see that there is this thing here, this message, unable to map one of one item, and we've got details. So if I click on details, it shows me items with invalid coordinates, 1, and items without coordinates, 0. Because if I take another one, for example, if I take just mail, and I try to add to map, still nothing, but now if I click here, it says item without coordinates 1, because it's this one, this mail here, this person doesn't have coordinates. So when Analyst book cannot find the two values which are needed for latitude and longitude, it will give you either this message, well, it will give you this error message, and it will tell you how many items, items being entities, which have invalid coordinates. Invalid can be either it's missing one of the two coordinates, or coordinate has a text or something like this, and items without coordinates, 1. So one other example, so if I remove this one, and I double click here, and I add longitude, location, longitude, and if I input anything, okay, so still wrong, okay, invalid coordinates. Also, what could be invalid coordinates is if for the longitude, for example, you enter something, a number but which is outside the scope of -180 and +180. to map still invalid coordinates. And now if I change and put and make it a valid coordinate, now it's correct. Okay? So you also see that if I zoom in, so I've got one house which is in near Russia and two buildings in France. When I zoom out, you see that those two items are kind of merged into one circle with the number 2, which means there are two items which are close next to each other. This allows the map to be not overcrowded with entities when they are close from each other. One option also you could do is, let's say I have one entity with an address. So if I try to send this item on a map, it will tell me that there is no coordinates because it needs coordinate, latitude, and longitude. So what I can try to do is if I know the address, I can zoom in. So I'm in Paris, then the 11th arrondissement, which is somewhere, where is it? It's here, Boulevard Chat-Noir. So I take it, and number 23 should be around here. I take it and I plot it where I want to be. Okay, so let's say one here. Then automatically you have the two field latitude and longitude which are being filled in by the map. Okay? So now the question is, those items, I created them manually, but what I want to do is that I have a database, an iBase database, and I want to get the values from the entities from iBase. I want to put them on the Analyst book map chart, sorry, and then put them on a map. So I will create a new new chart, and I'm opening iBase. So here I am with the default user guide of iBase, and I am in address. You see that I've got about 20 addresses with latitude and longitude. Okay, so I take some of them, chart, add to chart. Okay. Yes. Okay, so now I want to back. Okay. And back to analyze. So I'm still in Esri maps. So what happens if I select those, let's say take them all, right click, add to map, and no, unable to map 5 of 5 items. I click on details, tell me that it doesn't find any coordinates. So it's not that the coordinates are wrong, it's that it does not find the coordinates. Why? If I right click and I say edit item properties, you see that there is the data records, and you have property, you have the name of the house, you have the street, the city, the state, and in attributes, they're just has cards. So the records, information of latitude and longitude which are here, were not sent to an Analyst book. So we'll have to fix this. So what we do is going back here, cancel, we just remove it, and we can even home, we will disconnect the database, close the database, okay, and we're going back to iBase. So the reason why those entities, Analyst book could not find any latitude and longitude, any coordinates for those records, it's because if you look at the information, the way it's defined, so latitude and longitude, you see that the semantic types is empty. So we have to change this. So I will close iBase. Yes. And I will open it back in iBase Designer. Okay. Entity, address, and latitude and longitude. I want, it's not me who wants, it's Analyst book who requires that you give semantic types for latitude and longitude. So I double click on latitude, on lat, sorry, and semantic type, I will put it to latitude. Okay. Okay, and what I will also do is that I want the latitude and longitude to be sent as an attribute on the chart. So I will add the chart attribute for this field, which will be equal to latitude. So I already created this attribute, latitude, okay? And same for longs. So I create a chart attribute as longitude and semantic type. So it doesn't show me, it doesn't offer me something because longs doesn't find, so I just remove the S and it offers me longitude. So I take longitude. Okay. Okay, so now you have latitude and longitude, and we have the semantic type defined for those two fields. But that's not the only thing we have to do. Well, in the base designer, that's it, so we can close it. Yes. And now we are back on iBase user. So user guide. Okay. We need to go on charting schemes. So I've got charting scheme. The one I'm using is this one, données d'association. I double click. Okay. And I want to add a specific charting scheme for the addresses. So I click on add. And for addresses, I'm going down and I've got data records. Data records, I want it to be all. This is important. This is very important. Otherwise, you will not be able to send the items from iBase to the map. So you really have to put the data records to all, and chart attributes. Also, you will say yes. So chart attributes, yes, and data records, all. I save it. Close it. And back to entities, addresses. I do records. So there's records. So I take any records. I'm just checking that. So yeah. So the chart now is empty. So I'm back to iBase user. I select 5 records, 5 random records. I right click, chart, add to chart. I select the charting scheme which I changed, which is données d'association. Okay. Okay. Yes. So before I even try to move the entities on the map, I will just go and check something. I will right click on one, edit item properties, and I'm going on the data records, and you see now we have latitude and longitude properties. Okay, so we have the values. So this is very important. And also attributes, we have latitude and longitude. But what's more important, because what Analyst book will look for is here. It will look in data records for the latitude and longitude records. Okay, so I can select all, add to maps, and that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they are here. Okay. So one thing also, if you want to remove one of the items from the map, you just can select one and click add. Sorry, just remove. Yeah, remove all. Remove all. Sorry. So if I just select all, just add to map. If I want to remove one, I just select one. I type on the delete key on my keyboard, and that's it. So if I click on one item on the map, the equivalent item on the chart will be selected, and same for the opposite way. Now, there is also one other way to have the information, the entities sent from the chart to the map, which is not by using the latitude and longitude field. So I will create one record. I will double click, and I will not add anything on attribute, and so I'll just add it to description and grades. So here we'll input the coordinates in one special way. So I had it copied, so I just paste it. So it's loc slash the coordinates in this format and double slash. If I click on OK, and now if I send it to the map, it plots the information. So the question is, how do I know the way the coordinates has to be? So the log something something. So well, it's quite easy. Well, it's quite easy. You have to ask for help, and help is with a press is one F1 key pressed away. So if I type Esri, location information. So you've got help on how to configure the Esri portal for ArcGIS. So the thing which I showed you, it's here. So I've got the URI, the item ID optional, drawing shapes, location information. So see here's information. This is an example. For an entity to be mapped successfully on the I2 Esri maps, you can enter in labels, description, cards, attributes with specific semantic type assignments, which is latitude and longitude data records, and so on. Coordinate text. So don't hesitate to ask for help in the provided help file, which is accessible with the F1 key. Back on the chart, sorry, on the map, sorry. You see here that you can draw. You have one icon here, which allows you to add some drawings on some items on the map. So you can draw a circle. The circle is centered from the first click. So if I click here and I center on the N of Washington, okay, then you can draw freehand lines and so on. If you want to remove them, you just select one and press Del key. If you have any question, don't hesitate to contact the I2 support team.